it's Norm from Tesla here. I'm here with Jamie today. Hey, Jamie.
Hi.
We're outdoors. It's so bright, the air is crisp, and we're here to do an interesting project that you've been experimenting with.
Yes, we've come out to some private property. It's a quarry, and it's way away from everything. And that means that we can do some things that are actually kind of questionable.
in terms of safety.
Safety, yes. And that is that I'm attempting to experiment with a new use for a drone.
The quadcopters.
Yes, the quadcopters. Now, DJI has given both Adam and I these lovely Inspire 1s, and they're state-of-the-art as far as their stability and controllability. Adam has used that to focus on doing precise camera work. I, however, am trying to use them for other things. I figure that that same stability and control should allow me to do some things that would otherwise be impracticable. In particular, a little bit of arborist work.
Landscaping.
Landscaping, because there are trees, for example, that either get into your view or they might be getting near a power line or something like that, and they need to be trimmed. And the thing is that tops of trees get often very long and narrow, and you can't climb up, assuming that you don't have access to a cherry picker or something like that, which, a lot of places you just can't get those things in. So here today, we're going to, as far as I know, experiment with the first attempt with a flying circular saw blade that is actually quite dangerous, and see whether we can control it and actually make it do work topping some trees.
And you've thought it through, you've addressed all what you consider the safety concerns, potential safety concerns. That's why we're out here in this remote area. The rig is built, so let's go check it out and explain what exactly you've done to this Inspire 1.
Okay, so this is the saw. I've got it on a carbon fiber tube, and so it's very light, and this is the speed controller and the battery and the control wire. The motor I've used is actually off of a little quad. So I figured it's light and it's made to spin things. Actually, I believe we're going to have to be careful with the setting on this because there's effectively no load on the motor, so it might be able to over rev. I had originally conceived this with two motors, and they were to be counter-rotating. I had this one mounted right here like so, and I thought that was a good idea, that having them counter-rotate would sort of have a scissoring action that would make it cut through whatever it's approaching with less resistance. But in my tests, I found it was actually better with a single one because there's more material being removed with two blades, so that's twice the resistance. And one thing I realized even before testing this, if I mounted this rigidly to a quad,
and the resistance goes against the quad.
Yeah, and if I'm flying like this into something that's resisting, it's gonna want to go like that, which makes the quad want to go even further into it. So if you go into a bush, it's basically going to, once it starts to meet resistance, actually dive into the bush, and that would be a bad thing because it's gonna crash. So what I've done is I've put this on a gimbal, which is a two-axis thing. So when this flies around, you'll see it's swinging like this, and anything that it meets, like so, it's not going to affect the quad very much at all. The Inspire doesn't have any, I don't know, hopefully the company's not going to be pissed off at me for modifying, I barely got the thing and I'm making changes to it. They're not made to screw things onto it or have like additional, like accessories added onto it. So this system is a separate, I'm operating it with a separate radio and separate speed controller and battery. It's all completely independent, and we'll be able to get it up and flying, and then turn it on with another transmitter that I have. And I'll probably have one of the guys here, since this is a it's a safety concern with our camera crew. I'll have one of the guys on that and they can just kill the saw.
So let's recap what you've experimented with so far. You've experimented with putting your arm on the quad at your shop and the launch and landing. We know that can work.
Yeah.
You've spun up the blade,
Yeah.
not attached to a quad,
Right.
so you know that this can cut through like a small branch,
Yeah.
for example. What we haven't done is actually connect them both and have the blade running.
That's
or
correct.
the gimbal system meeting resistance. So I think the first thing we should do is launch the quad and see what would happen if the blade doesn't spin, if it does beat resistance, and can the quad be stable.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, we can there's plenty of shrubs here that we can actually experiment with. And
Yeah.
I think we don't need to tell people, well, we should tell people, don't try this at home. That first test was a success to show that when given resistance on the pole, the Inspire does not lose stability. So that's good for the Inspire.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to test the actual blade and the remote system.
Yeah.
Take off.
I'm gonna go that way and try to back into it. Okay, Gabe, let's engage the saw.
The rotors are blowing it away.
Yeah.
Oh, caught on.
I don't see a whole lot of cutting going on.
Yeah.
You want to land it and see if you got anything out of that first
Oh,
I can-
right.
I saw a
heard-
leaf.
Yep.
Beauty. You can see, on the left side, there's some bent needles.
There's a little set.
All right, Jamie, so what do you think about this test?
Well, it's why we have to test things. Sometimes ideas are good, but in reality, they don't actually work. And this was one of them. There are several things that are at play here that are problems. First, the wind coming off of the blades, understandably, is blowing the things around that you're trying to cut. So that makes them a moving target that's much more difficult. And then while it was a good idea to have this blade on a gimbal so that it wouldn't lock against the quad and make it dive in, I'm not sure that that's necessary anyway, because the Inspire has a stability control that's not going to allow it. It's going to compensate if it meets resistance and stay where it's at. So it may be okay to have this be rigid. As it is on a gimbal, not only is the target, the shrubbery moving around, but so is the blade. So
We saw that.
you've got two things swinging around that you're trying to coordinate with. I really think that we should try some sort of scissor action clippers, like hedge clipper, pruning devices, because that would be, infinitely safer and actually not allow the thing you're cutting to just move out of the way. So if we make that on a rigid mount, then I think that's probably going to be the next increment. As fun as flying circular saw blades are, and I had to try them because it really is kind of terrifying, but it's not worth the terror, I guess, if it doesn't actually do anything. Okay.
Thanks for sharing this project with us, Jamie, and thanks for inviting us out here to see it in action. We hope we learned something. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll hopefully be back in the future with...
Zing.
Oh no! It's off. With another video untested. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.